Welcome everyone, good evening. It is Monday, September 21st at 7 p.m. and we're calling to order the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting for the City of Richfield. So first of all, we have the attendance and roll call. So Administrative Assistant.
Thank you, Chair Supple. Okay, Chair Supple.
I'm here, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Elliott.
Here.
Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Vries-Daniels.
Here.
Commissioner Sandel. All right, we have all members present. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the open forum, which is an opportunity for citizens and residents to address the HRA on items not on the agenda. The dial-in phone number is 612-861-0651. And there's a moderator that will assist you as you call in. Do we have anybody on the line? So we do want to encourage residents to participate. So if you would like to call in, we'll pause and wait for a minute or so. Administrative Assistant Dubois, do we have anyone on the line?
I am not seeing that we have anyone on the line.
Okay, well, we'll continue on with the minutes, and if someone pops in, we'll let them join the conversation. So next we have approval of the minutes of the regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting of August 17th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, would you please call the roll? Thank you.
Yes, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vries-Daniels.
Aye.
And Commissioner Sandel.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All right, would you please take the roll? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Trying to mute somebody. Sorry, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vries-Daniels.
Aye.
And Commissioner Sandel.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Executive Director Stark, can you present that to us, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Supple. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and the recommended actions have also been approved, and no further HRA action would be necessary. Tonight, we have 3 items for your consideration. Item A, consider adoption of a resolution approving collateral assignment of the tax increment financing note and subordination of the right to repurchase in the contract for private development for the Cedar Point 2 townhomes. Item B, consideration of a grant compliance agreement with Cedar Point Investments LLC regarding a community ownership impact fund award for the RF64 townhomes. And item C, consider an adjustment to the payment standard of the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. And that concludes tonight's consent calendar. Thank you.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I did want to bring up one point because there was some discussion in the community about when we have a TIF district that makes like the townhomes which are purchased at to make them affordable, whether that affordability goes past the first owner if they would sell it. And I had asked Executive Director Stark about that, and I was hoping he could share that with the rest of the community.
Yeah, they do not in the way we've established them. They would only go with the first owner. We have looked into, having deed restrictions or covenants or other forms of doing that. However, we've been looking at this since 2001. This first came up with the condominiums at Kensington Park, and banks would not underwrite mortgages with that deed restriction on there. And so we have attempted many times in many different ways to make that a more permanent solution. But as of now, it is the first homeowner anyway only. And I don't know if housing manager or have anything to add to that.
No, I mean, what we've done sometimes is, those second mortgages, which at least, they pay back if they sell, and then we can recycle the funds. But that's, we're doing that with, that's what the grant compliance agreement is about. Those funds would be second mortgages. Although in that case, we don't get the money back, but Minnesota Housing would, and they could recycle it.
Okay, thank you. That gives helpful context. Any other questions? All right, then Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you please take the roll?
Yes, thank you. Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us on to item number 4, to consider the resolutions approving a modification to the redevelopment plan and approval of a tax increment financing plan for the 2020-1 tax increment finance district, or the Henley 2, and authorize an internal loan for an advance of certain costs in connection with the 2020-1 TIF district, Henley 2. Executive Director Stark.
Thank you, Chair Supple. As you're aware, the Richfield HRA and the City of Richfield have been in discussions with North Bay companies since 2019 related to the development proposal for 65th Street and Lindale Avenue. That proposal, as it stands now, includes the rehabilitation of the existing 22-unit apartment building at 6345 Lindale and the construction of 82 new multifamily units in the place of, I believe, 3 duplexes and 1 single-family home. This project would include at least 20% of the units being made available to households earning 50% or less than the area median income, with at least 5 of those units being in the newly constructed portion of the development. A summary of the actions that have been taken to date include a joint work session of the Richfield HRA, City Council, and Planning Commission last November, at which the concept was generally supported, an HRA approval of a preliminary development agreement on January 21st that included a commitment by the HRA to examine the appropriateness and potential amount of available tax increment financing, or TIF, a City Council approval of various land use applications, including a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezoning in July, an HRA approval of a final contract for private development on July 20th, which in part approved the issuance of a TIF note, or included the issuance of TIF, and included the provision that the HRA shall issue and deliver a TIF note in the principal amount of $2,025,987, as long as conditions set forth in the contract are met. In accordance with the contract, the HRA is now being asked to consider a modification to the redevelopment plan and an approval of a tax increment financing plan for what's being termed the 2020-1 TIF district, also known as Henley 2. That modification and plan were attached to your agenda for your review. The modification to the existing Richfield redevelopment plan includes a map update showing the district and a short text passage citing the new district. It includes a summary of the HRA and city's legal authority to create such a district. It includes a description of its classification as a housing district, as I said, requiring at least 20% affordable at 50% of the AMI. Includes an identification of the original net tax capacity that the base taxes will be calculated on. Those taxes will be distributed to all the local taxing jurisdictions, including Hennepin County, Richfield Public Schools, and the city of Richfield, as was the case prior to the establishment of the TIF district. This is an issue that a lot of people that are not familiar with TIF misunderstand. So in a TIF district, the base taxes continue to go to all of the places that they had always gone. It's only the new additional or incremental taxes that go elsewhere. And there is a projected maximum amount of $9,650,610, which would be the maximum TIF and related interest that could theoretically be collected in the district over its maximum lifespan of 26 years. The types of uses eligible for expenditure are also noted, and they include acquisition, affordable housing, and other qualifying improvements such as structured parking. The but-for analysis, concluding that the resulting housing development would not be reasonably expected to occur solely through private investment. In other words, this project could not happen but for the TIF and the amount that's being proposed. While the TIF plan identifies the maximum amount of tax increment that could be generated and the maximum expenditure on certain eligible uses, it does not commit the use of those funds. That commitment, as I'd said, is contained in the approved contract for private redevelopment funds. Up to 90% of the TIF collected in an amount not to exceed $2,025,987 to the developer as a TIF pays-you-go note to assist them in funding TIF qualified expenses, and up to 10% of TIF calculated to be retained by the HRA for reimbursement of expenses, including staff costs in administering the district. The HRA has already incurred such expenses and has been basically using our HRA general fund to advance those. So we're also asking you to approve a resolution approving up to $100,000 from the HRA general fund to be advanced for payment of such expenses, and the establishment of an interfund loan allowing TIF proceeds to be used to repay this advancement of funds. The only thing I would add to the staff report, as I had mentioned, the amount of TIF going to the developer is a what's called a pay-as-you-go note. And essentially what that means is that if they pay their taxes sufficiently, they would be able to receive the increment. When the increment comes in, that's Mert Link, the community development accountant, kind of divvies that out. There's actually a first small amount that goes to the state auditor. The second 10% that I'd mentioned, we retain. Anything that's remaining could go to the developer as this pay-as-you-go note up to the $2,025,000. I think it would be natural to ask, if the TIF amount is $2 million, why are we setting the TIF modification and plan to go as high as we are? And the reason for that is to keep our options open. Just as an example, in 2008 and 9, I believe, or maybe 9 and 10, the legislature passed a very short duration rule that allowed cities to use unexpended TIF for economic development projects. That was during the Great Recession. And in that example, we used, I believe it was in the neighborhood of $650,000 to assist Pizza Luce in going into the former Embers. That would not have occurred without this. So again, we just want to keep our options open, keep the ability to collect TIF as high as possible, but the commitment to pay it out as low as possible. I would note that Rebecca Kurtz from Ehlers & Associates is here with us tonight. and she could add on to what I've said, or she could answer any questions you might have. And with that, I conclude my presentation.
All right, thank you. We've had someone actually call in for the open forum, so we're going to take a short break before we go to Ms. Kurtz. So we have a caller that's been patiently waiting on hold, and if they could state their name and their address and go ahead with their comments, that would be great. Are you there?
Our moderator is working on transferring them in now.
Okay, thank you. Caller, are you there?
Yes,
All right, go ahead. State your name, please.
my name is Ruane Onesi Rosan. My address is 2421 West 65th Street. Ruane Onesi Rosan.
Thank you so much. Go ahead with your comments, please.
Oh. Yes. Are you hearing me? Thank you. I was actually here to present to you the comments at the open forum, but the line didn't pick up until right now. So
thank you. So you can go ahead, and you may want to turn your device down while you're talking, so we don't get the feedback. So we can hear you. Go ahead.
at the August 17th meeting of the Richfield Economic Development Authority, Executive Director Mr. Jim Stark presented particulars of a budget. In attendance via the website were members Supple, Gonzalez, Sandel, Elliott, and Daniels. Mr. Stark reported that excess dollars were available to be expended before the end of the year 2020. Dollars were targeted to assist businesses and nonprofits suffering losses brought about by the imposition of restrictions meant to contain the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Mr. Stark added that he anticipates further deposits will be generated and distributed through the CARES Act. Mr. Stark noted his awareness that members of the EDA were themselves involved in business and in administration of nonprofits. He then said he would welcome suggestions from members as to where these dollars might be utilized. Over the spring and summer of 2020, had my business been in jeopardy, how would I have gained access to the excess dollars that were available last month? How do I today access those dollars should I not have the ears of the EDA members? I'll hang up. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And I believe that will be addressed in the EDA meeting. So we'll come back to that later because that actual topic will be coming up at the EDA meeting. All right, at this point, Ms. Kurtz, did you have anything to add to the report?
Good evening, Rebecca Kurtz from Ellers. And I will say that Executive Director Stark did a very complete and thorough job of the introduction and addressing questions. The only thing that I apologize if I missed this, but he explained how we have set the budget and the term of the district to be the maximum per statute. In addition, while we have a note for $2 million, roughly 26,000, we are estimating that that could be paid off over the first 12 years of the district. So we are anticipating, with the way values and the way the TIF law is today, that this district either could be decertified or have some options prior to the 26-year maximum term. With that, I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, did we have any other questions? I think we can take this as a two-part motion, so why don't we take it in two separate motions? So the first part, if someone would like to move it.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez has made the motion to adopt a resolution approving a modification to the redevelopment plan for the Richfield redevelopment project and approving a tax increment financing plan for the 2020-1 tax increment finance district 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Elliott. Any further discussion? All right, Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you please take the roll?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Supple, Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott. I'm sorry, Commissioner Elliott.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye. Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. The second motion would be to adopt a resolution authorizing an internal loan for advance of certain costs in connection with the 2020-1 tax increment financing district, the Henley 2. Would someone care to pass that motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sandal and seconded by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez. Is there any discussion or questions? All right. Hearing none, Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
All right. Item 5 is to consider a resolution approving an amendment to the contract for private development for Cedar Point 2 Development LLC. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stark, and then I probably will go ahead and table this or propose that we table it, but I'm going to let Mr. Stark explain it first.
Yes, thank you, Chair Supple. The good news is that this development is getting very close to the finish line. And we're talking about the apartments in the Cedar Point 2 area directly across the street from Target and Home Depot. The bad news is the closer you get to the finish line, the more I's to dot and T's to cross there are. And the item for your consideration tonight had 2 of those. It was the increase of the number of units. It was also an extension to allow for closing to take place at a little later date. There may be an assignment of the contract and/or TIF note that we weren't prepared to address tonight, and we would prefer to have everything wrapped together in one amendment, in one action. And so, with that, I'm respectfully of your time asking if 3 of you would be available for a special meeting preferably next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, or the alternate would be next Monday at 6 o'clock. The reason we're proposing that to occur so soon is the developer who's here at the meeting is eager to close on the sale of the property so that they can, continue moving forward. And so we don't want to impede their progress. But like I said, we do want to make sure we've got everything squared away properly. And we've been working diligently with both the developer and with our attorney, Julie Ennington, and with Ellers, with Rebecca from Ellers, to work through some of these final issues. And we sincerely hope we'll have all that wrapped up for you early next week.
So are there people that are available for Tuesday at 7 p.m.?
I'm available for both dates and times.
Too.
Okay. So it looks like we have at least 3 people available for Tuesday at 7 p.m. So I'm going to move that we table item number 5 until Tuesday at 7 p.m. and reconvene another meeting at that point. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I don't think you get to debate or get to debate tabling. So we'll go ahead and have Administrative Assistant Dubois take the roll.
Thank you, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sandal.
Aye, and if something happens, you could call me as a backup.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's my understanding, Executive Director Stark, that you will then notice the meeting or put out the meeting notice. And then we will reconvene another meeting on Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yes, thank you so much for taking care of that for us.
All right, thank you. Moving on to number 6 is HRA discussion items. Are there any items that anyone would like to talk about? All right, thank you. The Executive Director's report, Mr. Stark.
I don't have a report prepared. Usually on the day of the meeting, I try to come up with some things, but it was a crazy hectic day, and so I didn't have that opportunity. But I would answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions for Executive Director Stark? All right, then we'll move on to claims. Oh, go ahead. Did somebody have one? Okay, I thought I heard something. Anyway, moving on to claims.
I will move approval of claims.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Breeze Daniels and seconded by Commissioner Elliott to approve claims. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote with Administrative Assistant Dubois.
Thank you, Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
I believe that completes our business for the HRA, and we're going to stay on the same meeting line for the EDA, so we'll have about 30 seconds to turn it over. So the HRA stands adjourned. All right, I think everybody is back now. So I'm going to call to order the September 21st Economic Development Authority meeting for the City of Richfield. It's virtual, held via WebEx. And the first order of business is to take attendance. Administrative Assistant Dubois.
Thank you. President Supple,
Aye, are here.
Commissioner Elliott,
Here.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Here.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Here.
Commissioner Sandel.
Here.
We have all members present. Thank you.
All right, our next item is the open forum, and it does seem like we have a little bit of a time lag before it is being put on the webcast, so we'll give people a chance here. If you would like to call in to address the EDA on items not on the agenda, the dial-in phone number is 612-861-0651. And as you call in, a moderator will assist you. And it seems like we have about a 2-minute lag. So we'll pause. And I wanted to, while we're waiting, to thank staff for making it possible for people to do the call-ins and to have the moderators and to also make sure that these are being live streamed so that we can have as many people involved in the process as possible and to make it as transparent as possible. So thank you everybody who made that possible as we've shifted to deal with the pandemic.
And I will just note that in this case that that staff person is Nellie Jerome. And so Nellie took time away from her evening to help us answer those phones. So thank you, Nellie.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Nellie.
Thank you, Nellie.
Get that more because I realize there is a time lag, and at the moment we have no callers, but that may change. All right, are there any other callers? It does not look like we have any callers on the line. If somebody does call in, we can take a break in the agenda later on. Right now, we're at approval of the minutes for the August 17th EDA meeting.
So moved.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 17th meeting. Do we have any comments? All right. Then Administrator Waugh, can you please take the roll?
Yes, thank you. President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez, Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is the consent agenda, and it appears to have one item on it. Executive Director Stark.
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda does contain one item tonight, which would be acted upon by the HRA without a great deal of further discussion. And once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual item and recommended action would also be approved, and no further EDA action would be necessary. As Chair Supple mentioned, we only have one item on tonight's consent agenda, and that is the consideration of a resolution correcting the Economic Development Authority proposed tax levy for payable 2021.
All right. Would someone like to move the consent agenda?
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right. Administrative Assistant Dubois, if you could go ahead and take the roll on that. And then I realized we forgot to approve the agenda, so we'll move back to that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
And I will move the agenda to be approved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All right, thank you, Administrative Assistant Dubois, for reminding me, and you can go ahead and take the roll call.
Thank you. President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
5 ayes. Thank you.
All right, our next item is consideration of a resolution creating a second round of EDA administered COVID-19 small business assistance forgivable loans and authorizing the executive director and the EDA legal counsel to modify the terms of all COVID loans for both rounds. And it was interesting that fortuitously came up as the open forum question for the HRA, and it's going to get answered right now for the EDA. So, Executive Director Stark.
Thank you, President Supple. In response to the devastating impacts that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on our local business community, the Richfield EDA created a local COVID-19 small business assistance forgivable loan on April 20th. This loan resulted in 36 loans averaging over $3,700 each. We've attached the results in a summary, and perhaps I'll touch back on that in a moment. And just to kind of answer the question that came up in the HRA open forum, we tried our hardest to make sure that every business in Richfield was aware of the availability of these loans. We utilized a mailing company that attempted to identify every business address in Richfield and sent out postcards. I believe it was to somewhere in the neighborhood of 900 addresses that they believed were business addresses. We also had the Richfield Chamber of Commerce send out multiple postings alerting the business community as to the availability of these. That was also on the city, EDA, and HRA websites. And we worked with there are two Latino business groups, and I can't remember the names of them, but we worked with.
One is Latino Economic Development Center. Is that one of them?
Yes.
The other one, I don't know what the other one is.
But so we really did try our hardest to get the word out to as many people as possible. In June, staff learned that the grants and forgivable loans, such as those provided by the EDA, could be reimbursed from the Federal CARES Act funding. The city was awarded approximately $2.7 million in CARES Act funding. Only the eligible for reimbursement. And what I mean by that is this is a forgivable loan. We're anticipating that the vast majority of the loan funds would be forgiven, but if some, for whatever reason, cannot be forgiven and must be repaid to us, then we would have to repay that to the CARES Act if we had taken CARES Act money to reimburse ourselves. So as a result, staff is recommending the loan terms to provide better guidance on which portions of the loan would be forgivable. Because our understanding of the provision of the CARES Act is constantly being augmented, staff is seeking authorization for the authority of the executive director with written support from the EDA legal counsel, Julie Eddington, to amend the terms of the loans of the loan program for both the portion of the loan that was approved by you on April 20th and the portion that we're being asked about tonight. Due to the continuing needs in the local business community, staff is recommending a second round of forgivable loans. The recommendation is to provide up to $118,000 in funding to provide and/or administer loans. If loan amounts are similar to the first round of funding, this should assist 25 to 30 businesses. Based on experiences in reviewing and awarding loans in the first round, staff is recommending that a business must be or become registered with the Minnesota Secretary of State as a condition of loan approval. This would provide a greater measure of legitimacy of a business when other documentation is lacking, and this was the case with several loans in the first round. As the result of the discussions with the city manager and city department heads, staff is recommending that the EDA seek reimbursement of 100% of the cost, including staff time, already expended in the first round of providing the COVID-19 small business loan, and is requesting that reimbursement of at least 70% of the cost for the second round. The EDA is funding available in its business assistance budget line to fund the remaining 30%, which would be $35,400. Oops, hold on a second. I did want to touch on a couple of the attachments. The summary of loans. Of the 38 applications received, 36 were issued. Of the two not funded, one was ineligible. They were not a Richfield business, and one needs to provide additional information. So it's still possible that that one will be funded. As I said, the average was a little over 3,700. 5 businesses received the maximum of 7,500. 61% of the loans were made to businesses with a physical commercial space in Richfield, and the others were made to home-based businesses or other places that didn't really have a physical location. 67% of the loans were made to women-owned businesses, and 28% of the loans were made to minority-owned businesses. All 10 of which were also woman-owned. 39% of the business were sole proprietorships, and 58% of the businesses had at least one part-time employee, and represented a total of 181 owners and employees. And then we've got the summary of the kind of loan rules attached, and you'll see in red, underline red, the things we're looking to add. I believe all of those I mentioned. The one thing I didn't mention is if somebody got a loan in the first round, they would not be eligible in this second round, or at least would not be given priority. There was some confusion over what constituted a full-time employee versus a part-time employee, so we gave that some better definition. And in the past, we were saying up to 50% of the loan would be forgiven for spending the money on the appropriate things, and then an additional 50% could be forgiven if the business becomes operational again. We're revising this to, or recommending a revision to say either of those categories could be up to 100% forgivable. And again, this is support our businesses and help them in every way we can, but also to make it more compliant with the CARES Act funding and getting reimbursed for that funding. I would note that we did not know this at the time, but the loan proceeds may be considered taxable income by the federal and or state government. So we will be making loan recipients aware of that as well. So with that, I would stand for any questions you might have.
Do any of the commissioners have questions? Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez?
I don't have a question, but just a comment again to say thank you to our staff for such an amazing and impactful program and setting it up, carrying it out, and making sure that staff, that you all took steps to make sure that we reached out to as many businesses as possible, that we did take into consideration, inequities faced by communities of color and our small businesses what in the implementation of this program. And then we saw the results of that. I've heard a lot of gratitude from business owners who have said it was very easy and staff was very helpful and it was very straightforward, especially during a time when other assistance programs for them were not helpful and it was very stressful already on top of the existing stress that they experienced. So I just want to say thank you again for all the tremendous work that you've been doing and you are doing to support our businesses.
Well, thank you. I would say it was a very time demanding program, and I'm sure the second round will also be, although hopefully we've learned some things that will cut that back. So it took more time than any of us were anticipating, but it was so gratifying. It's so gratifying to learn so much more about our small businesses and the creative ways that people find to do businesses that I never would have thought of, that once I learn about them, it makes total sense. But it's just, I applaud our business community.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Just a quick clarification. It looks like in the rules we have said that it is ineligible if they have already received a forgivable loan and not just that they will receive preference. Is that true?
Yeah, and that's one of those places where, again, we're asking for a little flexibility for myself and our attorney to kind of modify the rules. As we've thought more about that, I think that our recommendation has actually changed from the time we sent you the staff report to say that it's not that businesses are ineligible, it's that they would not be given preference. And so if all of the first-time applicants were funded and there was still money available, then we could consider somebody applying for a second round.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for making that clarification. I think that's important for people to know. And I echo Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez. Thank you so much for the staff for all making this program possible and helping our community. Would someone like to move this item?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved to approve a resolution amending the terms of the EDA Administered COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Forgivable Loan and loans and authorizing a second round of loans. Are there any further questions? All right, Administrative Assistant Dubois, can you please take the roll?
Yes, thank you. President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeze-Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item are EDA discussion items. Are there any things that anyone would like to talk about? I do want to also we had a thank you to Nellie Jerome for helping with the calls. Also, Jane, I hope I'm saying your name right, Scove also helps so that we can live stream all these. So again, thank you to staff. I also wanted to call attention to the fact that KMNV La Raza radio station is now going to be located here in Richfield. And I know Mayor Reagan-Gonzalez and Council Member Troutman were able to attend the ribbon cutting, but I just want to say welcome to La Raza. Anything else for the discussion items? All right, then we'll move on to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, President Supple. I would just remind EDA members that we also have a program called the Energy Efficient Business Grant, and we work with the utility companies and with the Center for Energy and Environment, both of whom provide some funding and assistance for energy improvements for businesses. In addition to what they do, we provide 20% of the cost of making these improvements, up to $2,500. We did award our first grant in August, and we are looking to publicize this grant a little bit more. I believe it went out, or it will be going out with the Chamber of Commerce this week. And so if anybody has any questions who's watching out there or any EDA commissioners about this, let me know, and I will make sure that the information gets passed along.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Executive Director Stark? All right, then we'll move on to claims.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the claims. Are there any questions? If not, we'll ask Administrative Assistant Dubois to call the roll.
Thank you. President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Reagan-Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeze-Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes. Thank you.
Completes our business. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening. This meeting stands adjourned.